Book your driving lesson now at dla-driving.co.uk. Sponsored by DLA Driving School.
Hello and welcome to Owen the Town. We've had some time to think about it, haven't we, lads? Our first ever season in the Premier League. And we just thought we'd just get together and chat around about our whole experience of the season. Not much more to say, no pressure. As always, we have your final 3-word review of the season. We've asked you about your experience of the season too. We'll share that with you as well. Yeah, and we're just going to have a bit more fun and have a chat about how things have gone. Tonight, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, Bataro and Darren are with me, and he's escaped from Alcatraz. He's returned back from America, and Steve is with us. Nice to see you all coming up for this little chat, boys.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thank you.
I'm sort of over it now. I mean, if you'd have listened to the last pod, if you watched the last pod, you'd know that I was extremely disappointed that we didn't stay up. And I was really down about it for a while, but now you just think about it. Think of the benefits we've got from being in this league. I'm just going to chuck it out there. The town, in fact, has benefited, isn't it? And we've got to talk about Coldplay at some point. And I'll get Bataro to sing you out with it.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. You haven't learnt the lyrics yet?
Nah, not really. I don't really listen to Coldplay, if I'm honest, but yeah.
What did the Premier League bring to Luton for us, guys?
Thing I liked most was the greater sort of level of exposure. You know, like there was like a half-hour Sky interview with Pelly. You know, there was that. They're constantly in the news about miscellaneous things, someone returning from injury or what have you. It was just the light was shining on the whole club and therefore the town as well. So much more. I mean, I remember when we went up to the Championship, I said to Dave, wow, look at the amount of exposure we're getting. And this is just, tenfold more.
It was global, wasn't it? It was global. Yeah. Did you notice, the first game at Kenilworth Road, Darren, when all those press were up in that new press area, did you focus on that? Because I walked in and thought, my God, from one end to the other of the stadium, there was more press than I've ever seen at Luton, ever.
Yeah, it's did we have the cup game first?
Yeah.
It was Gillingham, wasn't it?
That's right.
Where we all, I think I spent most of the game looking at that gantry, but it wasn't very full.
And the strange lighting
and
as
the
well.
strange lighting and everything. So barely watched the game, and I don't think it mattered really because it wasn't much of a game. But
good free kick from Alfie.
Yes, yeah. But I think you're right, Dave. On the first Premier League game, I think that's when it hits home just how big it is. Like you said, it was absolutely full, and famous faces, recognisable people, and even up where we sit on that the sky box up in the corner and everything. I wrote down there, it's the razzmatazz, isn't it? That comes with it. And it was amazing.
I think it's a bit. I called it a circus when the first day I went up there. I had to go early to do something. Can't remember what it was. Some preview for TNT, but not for that game.
Right.
And I just thought the amount of journalists there, the amount of television there. I think you walked up with me, Bataro.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
It was just freakish, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really pay much attention to that sort of stuff. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I didn't really notice because I was just so sort of like stuck in my own little head like, oh my God, Premier League, this is happening, this is going on. Obviously people go, oh, look at this. I'm like, what? Didn't you see that?
So nothing phases Bataro.
No, literally, that's it.
He's on his mission.
Sorry, that's what it is.
It's not a bad thing,
I was looking at Darren before when Dave asked him the question, and he was a bit like,
I was also
I thought, is he going to try and find something to say or is he going to lie?
Look, here's the thing, Bataro. Before the season started, you and I did a couple of bits with L'Equipe, and we did bits with...
it was Football Ramble, wasn't it?
Football Ramble, yeah. And, it was just because we'd been promoted, not because, of anything else. It's because we'd been promoted and they asked us, we went.
Oh, the attention was something else,
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was. In that sense, I mean, yeah, like I say, the whole, the main focus was about Luton Town, massive story, blah, blah, blah. And then, obviously, we got quite a bit, introduced, like Kate Mason, for example, who does, she used to do BBC. He was obviously done the football ramble. It's only until I saw her, I think a few weeks later, did a cricket on TNT. So I was like, Jesus, actually, it was quite a big thing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
we
it's
may
mental.
there's a theme going through my Premier League experience, and I think it is we made a few beers that day.
Yeah, of course. When don't we? Have you seen this? Like my gut. I've had a few beers every day, I think. Yeah.
Any of my friends watching from Football 12th Man would know that I start off the conversation with, well, I was in the pub until, and nothing changed. It's nice to see a lot more Luton shirts out and about as well, I thought.
Yeah, it is. You do wonder, what could have been with the season. We'll talk sort of as we go through, but, there's so many ifs, buts and maybes, wasn't there?
Too many.
Well, look, we're going to chat out. We'll see how long it takes. If it's 30 minutes, it's 30 minutes. If it's any longer than that, I'm stopping. for a beer. Listen, we asked you guys for your 3-word reviews of the season. Ed said, I loved it. No, he didn't. Ed said, loved the experience. Phil, enjoyable but disappointing. James said, made us proud. Matt, take money, run. Toby, journey, not destination. Ben, just fell short. Mike, should have stayed up. Hatter Gray, injuries killed us. Ashley, hopefully returning better. And as says, our own fault. If you want to pick a one or two out of those, go for it.
I'll go with Mike. I should have stayed up. I know it sounds a bit of a negative one, and we should be sort of enjoying the experience, but we should have stayed up, guys.
Yeah,
we should have stayed up. I think who knows next season? It looks like teams are going to have minus points next season. It might be even easier to stay up next season. But of all years, with 2 clubs being docked points, a pretty poor, really poor Sheffield United, a poor Burnley, you kind of look at it and go, if there was ever a season where we probably could have stayed up, I think it is that. And I was saying to you guys before, when I looked through the fixtures just to have a reminder of the season, and you look at the games where Liverpool, the Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and I know we nicked points late on, so it does offset things, but we should have got to 34, 35, 36 points.
Easily, yeah. No, I agree with what you said there, Sophia. I was on the same thing there. Should have stayed up. I just genuinely look at games where we let points slip, slight mistakes, little errors, margins, but it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. I just think it's so difficult. The step up was so great, and there was a couple of bizarre decisions made by defenders or midfielders at key moments that led to a goal. But you just noticed. I think it was West Ham. I think Bell literally just took a breath when they had a throw in down in the corner, and bang, within sort of 2 seconds the ball was in the net. And I think it was just that realisation that there is absolutely no room for error. And then the way the injuries panned out with the defensive unit and Nakamba as well, I think that's where we fell short.
I felt like we took to the challenge though, like a duck to water, to be fair, because if you look at it, like at the beginning of the season, we were a bit hesitant, try not to concede, etc., whatever else. And then all of a sudden, I think Rob Edwards said, we've got to change something up, whatever. And we went forward. We was aggressive on the front foot, straight in the face of big teams as well. And that's when I thought, we're at the races here. We can do something. That's what really upsets me a little bit, because I know there's been games this season. I think I can probably count 3, 4, maybe 5 games this season where we've not been at it and we've been pretty shy, to be fair, but the rest of the games we've been competitive.
Yeah,
it could have swung. It could have swung either way. Like there's games where we haven't got the 3 points or drop points in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah,
it's just that fine bit of balance, isn't it? Really,
it is. But by the halfway mark or just over, I think Burnley away was the halfway mark. Or you look at the Newcastle game. After the Newcastle game, we were in good shape. I think we had 20 points out of 66, nearly a third of the points.
Yeah, so we discussed before.
And if you have a second half of the season the same, you stay up comfortably. But that's where it all went wrong.
It is. I mean, there were key injuries, and there were times where the whole of the defensive unit was out. But I think most of these 3-word reviews, I pretty much agree with nearly all of them, Dave. So many emotions, so many different ways to look at it, and I think that's a pretty decent spread, to be honest with you.
I don't cry much at football, to be fair. I don't get emotional that much at football. Wembley, different thing. I think we're thinking, oh my God, we've done it. I think that was quite an emotional day. But at London Road, West Ham, when I realised it was all over, I was really sad. I was really, really sad. And it is our own fault. That I think, who said that? Our own fault.
Yeah.
Because actually, no one expected us to be there. Garth Crooks has written us off after 2 games or 1 game. We'd be down by Christmas. Well, you know what, Garth? Get a new job, because you don't know what you're talking about. But things like that, I thought we overcome that. And then suddenly the tide turned with all the critics, didn't it? And all the pundits suddenly thought, actually, you know what? They're not as bad as we thought they were going to be. Fans were ridiculing us because of our stadium, because of the entrance to the stadium. Made a big thing out of that. It's been a part of our lives forever if you've been supporting Luton.
Yeah,
so
it was hardly mentioned the second half of the season,
because
was
it didn't need to be.
No. I mean, start of the season, for me, I thought the goal scored was going to be the problem, because it was noughts and ones.
Yeah.
But that really turned around. I think you
momentum,
mentioned Bataro, Robbie Edwards said he had to change something, and he sort of evolved the playing style through the season, and we really did turn into a threat. And if you think that threat, at Premier League, I mean, that's some achievement for the staff, the coaches, the players to all to do. Elijah has suddenly become this absolute monster for us. He was good in the Championship, but I don't think a lot of people would have thought how he was going to turn out and play over a fairly sustained period of time in the Premier League. I don't think a lot of people would have said he was capable of that. And he's now a concern about, is he going to be with us next season?
This is it, yeah.
Yeah, look, I've asked you all to just think about the season as a whole and take into account some of the stuff like the favourite goals, your best player. I'm sure we're going to sort of duplicate on some of these. Any highlights you have on or off the pitch. You can't mention Steve being interviewed by the BBC, okay?
Did that happen?
Yeah, Football Focus.
I don't remember.
Watches
You'll have to refresh my memory.
Nobody watches it. You can't mention that, okay? And if you do that, I won't mention my one.
Okay.
But I think I already have, haven't I?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. So let's just have a chat about around the season. I mean, for me, I think we said this last pod that we did end of the season when after the Fulham game. And it was like seeing the stadium in its glory with all the lights on.
Yeah.
A scoreboard that didn't have a pixel missing. Although they don't use it to its full extent, do they? Let's be fair.
No.
And I just thought the atmosphere, it was almost like a carnival. We'd arrived, and I thought that first game for me was a disappointing result, but actually we're here.
Yeah. Quick word to Richard Bird as well and the ground staff. The small amount of time they had to work on the pitch. And then the Gillingham game, you could see it was quite patchy, but good.
Yeah.
But then come West Ham, you could barely see it. Yeah. I mean, those guys worked absolute miracles. Yeah.
It was so light.
I need those boys from my back garden.
The stadium was so light. I was thinking about wearing sunnies during the night games because the lights were so different.
You would have looked so cool as well, Dave.
Yeah,
you could have carried that off.
Yeah, I watched some highlights back from a few years back before we got those the new lighting system.
It's crazy.
And compared to now, it's actually a joke. Yeah,
and you
can
sit there and
see
think,
the other end of the stadium now.
How on earth did we go through with lights like that?
Yeah.
How on earth?
And those first games, we didn't have the extra lights on the Oaks.
Exactly.
They added more, didn't they?
And when they came in, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I needed 2 pairs of sunnies. That's how I felt. Bloody good. Let's just talk through the season briefly then. It took us a while. You're right. You said earlier, Steve, it took us a while to get going. And, when we're not getting the results, but we weren't really competitive at Brighton, although, of course, we thought we got back in the game and then we gave away a really, really stupid goal from Pelly, was that 3-1 then, wasn't it?
Yep.
And you're thinking to yourself, oh, here we go. And no disrespect to any other team that's listening to this is only Brighton. And God, what we got coming up. Were we panicking then, or were we just drinking? I can't remember.
I mean, to be fair, you lot might have been drinking. I was at a wedding on that day, but yeah.
I was on holiday.
Yeah, I think it was just a fixture that I was pleased to see the back of, because I think I said, now the circus can calm down and we can slowly sort of work ourselves into the season. There was so much going on about that, the story. I was pleased to see the back of that game, so then we could sort of just settle it down.
We kind of got done over by Match of the Day and saying that we were no good and the defence was terrible. Well, we all knew the defence wasn't good on the day, but they're judging us on the first game, Darren.
Yeah, and they probably came into recording that with their mindset,
preconceived
idea that we're actually not going to be great.
Yeah, that was their agenda. We were going to be the whipping boys, weren't we?
And let's be honest, they got a lot of matches to watch. They probably watched 4 or 5 minute worth of highlights, and then went, "Oh, look at that mistake at the end. Look at the result. Yeah, they are rubbish, like we thought they were going to be. Move on."
Yeah,
and that's what it felt like.
Sorry, Dan. I know they pinpointed Paddy Ruddock as well, didn't they? They done a whole thing about a 30-second to a minute on it. Oh, you know, this you might be able to do this in the Championship in the lower levels, but you can't get away with the Premier League. They're a proper slating Pelly for it. All right, fair enough. It was a bad mistake.
Well, I mean that Brighton one. I don't think anyone could believe that he done it. Because and these were the sort of mistakes we were making for the first 7 or 8 games. Decisions that we would never have even contemplated making in the Championship or League One, and you thought, where's that come from? Why have you done that there? And you get done for it.
With the pundits as well, I tend to mute them anyway because I do think they have an agenda. I think this is how we're going to portray this until something else happens. So I don't really listen to them. But obviously Garth really peed me off. And, you know, Lineker and Shearer, they were following the line, and then suddenly they change. And suddenly our fortunes has changed, so they start looking at us a different way. Because they expected us to be rock bottom all of the time. But Sheffield United and Burnley were worse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a great fan of the guy, but Paul Merson was fairly good throughout the season. You know, he seemed to understand where we were coming from and what we were looking to achieve, and not buying in a whole new squad and stuff like that. I thought he was pretty much on level a lot earlier than the others.
Somebody said it's journey, not destination. I agree with that, because this is just the start of it for us.
Yeah.
And when the new stadium goes up, it'll all be a bit different, I hope. And when you look at our stats for the season, 6 wins. And do you know what? I felt the season went really quick.
Yeah. And it was very stop-start, wasn't it? It just seemed to be 2 or 3 games, week off, 2 or 3 games.
And don't forget, we didn't have what should have been the first home game with Burnley. Yeah. That was a week off.
Yeah.
Obviously, with what happened to Lockstad, there was a bit of a gameplay, but then that was postponed.
Yeah.
You know, so we had our own gaps as well as all the international gaps and everything else.
I would say, Darren, that having said that, because I totally forgot that happened, I think if we played Burnley first game of the season, we'd have beaten them. I think we'd have been really up for it. It was like a championship game for us against them. I think we could have beaten them.
Yeah, we're saying about our start. Okay, we had Brighton and Chelsea, but then sort of looking here, West Ham at home 2-1. We should have had a penalty.
100% penalty.
Yeah.
Fulham away, we should have had a penalty. Lost 1-0. Who knows?
And their goal shouldn't have stood either. Wolverhampton at home 1-1. They had one attack. He ran the length of the pitch and one attack. We then beat Everton. And then we lost to Burnley at home in the last minute. We lost 1-0 to Tottenham, and then we drew 2 with Forest. So actually, take the first 2 games out. It's not a bad
and that Tottenham one, you know, Elijah missed one really close. And that's what I was saying a little bit earlier about Elijah. People wouldn't have thought he was capable. You know, you got that Elijah, and then the one that turned into destroying Brighton at home. You know, he done a couple of step overs, you know, as well as the hat trick. And
the point of defeat at Tottenham they were winning the league at that point. According to all their fans, obviously.
But going back to that Burnley one, Dave, I was really surprised because Burnley were asked to reverse the fixture to keep it on the same. And I was thinking, well, why wouldn't they want to do that? Why would they want to come down to us on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, whatever it ended up being? But clearly they made the right decision. But I think you're right. Had we had played them,
I think
we would. All right, we still played them at an okay time, but I think we would have.
Yeah, because it was the first one. It was the first one, and not such a calibre of a competitor as West Ham were. And like I say, I think West Ham were quite lucky to beat us on that day.
That's right. A more familiar opponent.
You know, and all this VAR, we haven't even mentioned that, but that VAR decision that day was bullshit. It was terrible. It was, honestly, because the following week the same thing happens and a penalty's given, and you just think they're incompetent.
It's the consistency, isn't it?
We know that. So if you want to pick on a game of 6 wins, 8 draws, or a loss, I mean, you know, I've got so many different experiences I could talk about, and we could go on all night, and that's going to be far too much. The wins obviously are always great.
Yeah.
But I've got to think of, you know, going 1-0 up at Anfield.
Yeah.
In that atmosphere was unbelievable.
It was a cauldron that night. I tell you that, you know, I've been watching Luton since '77, and that was the loudest league game that I've been at.
It's the loudest I've ever heard Anfield.
Yeah,
and you know, a lot of people diss them, they play music through speakers or whatever else. That night, with the new stand behind you, it was loud.
Yeah.
And at one point, they were terrified they weren't going to beat us.
They were screwing at half time, weren't they? Because they were 1-0 down and they'd pretty much battered us. But we went in 1-0. And I think any fairly sensible-minded person realised it wasn't going to stay that way. But you could just see how agitated they all were. And it was just moderately amusing, to be honest with you.
Do you want to pick a one game that stands out for you guys each, or do you want to just chat around it and we'll see if we agree?
Pick one each, I guess.
Go for it. So who wants to go first?
Go on, Batari.
Go on, Batari. You've got your hair down, ready to go.
That's only because I've washed it. It's still drying. Anyway,
you're on a treat if you're watching on YouTube, I tell you.
I've not ordered it yet. Anyway, so we're going with the game of the season first.
Yeah, go for your favourite game, or the game that you feel was the best one you watched. Or
I mean, to be fair, I'm only going with this as game of the season because I thought it was the most entertaining, and it was Newcastle away. Unreal. See, Darren, you've been copying me again. Yeah,
it's great minds again.
See, we know what we're talking about. That's what it is.
Little and large.
Someone's probably sitting there and going, "Yeah, all right, mate, you talk shit." But anyway, Newcastle away. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to that game. I was doing, daddy duties and whatever else, but I managed to get on the stream. But yeah, and honestly, it's just a feeling of like we've scored 4 goals away at Newcastle, who are a very good side now, and it was just like the pure end-to-end factor, and like it was just excitement, wasn't it? And, like my heart was doing flips. Yeah. I hadn't been. It sounds really weird. Like I hadn't been that excited about a football match for like a long time, and I wasn't even there. That's how sad it is.
Ogbene roasted him. Is it burnt down? But he roasted him. Absolutely roasted him.
And going 4-2 up as well. I think, to be fair, not only was it, game of the season for me, but it was also the most heartbreaking game of the season for me as well. Because we were 4-2 up, I think with 23 minutes to go or something like that.
Too early.
And then they scored, well, I can't remember their third one, but I know that fourth one was a Harvey Barnes screamer, wasn't it, or whatever.
I still felt that Barkley was fouled.
I think he was.
Just outside the penalty area.
I agree.
Yeah, but that was an exceptional game. It really was.
Game.
And I guess we kind of look at it and go, well, you could have gone back to the wall and tried to sit it out at 4-2, but he kept to his principles of. I scream at managers when a team gets in the lead, then they change how they're playing. You go, well, it was working. It got you in the lead. Why sit back? But you kind of look at that and go, if we'd shut up shop, would we might have conceded 1. Would we have conceded? I
mean,
2?
they were coming on strong.
Oh yeah, and you're talking about Liverpool, the cauldron of St James's. So,
well, they were quiet until they scored. I can tell you that they were definitely quiet until they scored that day. And it's a shame that the Luton fans or all the away fans are so far up that stadium.
Yeah,
because we were going mental.
Yeah, I know. And you barely hear anything, do you?
No, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So, Darren, you was going to choose that one. Do you want to pick another one?
Well, I wrote 2 down here because because of my commitments to youth football, I couldn't go to that away game either. So that was my one I chose for just watching at home, and I think even a neutral would have loved that. And that was the second game in a row we scored 4 goals.
Yeah. I don't even think it was first match of the day either, was it? I don't recall. That
was a weekend where there was a lot of goals scored. I think.
Right. I don't know.
There might have been a slightly bigger game. But the one for me that I was actually at, I went for Arsenal at home. Again, a real backwards and forwards kind of game, but
heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, but you know, to see Arteta running down because it meant so much to beat us, and that's the only time the Arsenal crowd cheered, wasn't it? When they got it right at the end. But I think the to in and fro in, the fact it was mighty Arsenal, and at the time really pushing to try and win the league and stuff like that. I think for me that was just one where the realisation we're in the Premier League and all
one
that,
more cross, Darren. That's all we had to defend, wasn't it? One more.
We shouldn't have had to, Steve. First of all, it was a silly foul from Kabore. But okay, so the ref allows it. We're in injury time. The ref allows it, but we head it out.
Yeah,
he's got to blow up.
Yeah, that's right.
He's got to blow up. How he let them have another cross back in was ridiculous. But
there you go.
Such as the big team.
I was going to say I did recall obviously that game or whatever. Obviously I was doing the podcast after, and I do recall there should have been an extra 20-30 seconds. So I just put that one in there because when the foul was committed, there was still 20 seconds on the clock. That was the reason.
Yes, and Kabore had been messing around and taking ages to take the throw. So I
So
admit some should have added on, but
if it was the other way around, I'll be honest, and we didn't get the time, I'd be fuming. So I can't, you know what I mean? I'm quite, I'm quite reasonable.
You're
like
at peace with that one.
I am a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Dan, after this. Yeah.
Steve, what do you think?
Yeah.
What are you thinking about your games, or ones that stand out for you?
But Newcastle was brilliant. I was lucky enough to be there for the whole weekend with the family, and it was just a great weekend. Exceptional, and the fact that we were so well liked by the Newcastle fans, and I love that. So that was good. Brighton at home was exceptional, but for me, it was the first win, Everton away. Grandson was absolutely just loving it so much. Lenny, yep,
okay,
tick. He was absolutely loving it. Shirt off, standing on the chair, giving it all that. I would do it, but I'd have whipped about 10 people with my breasts. So, or else I'd have done the same. But no, it was just brilliant, and that was just a typical Championship game because they were just crossing the ball in from any angle.
Yeah.
And I think our defenders that day, it might have been one of the obviously there was Lockyer and Burke and that. They just defended everything brilliantly. 2 lovely goals. I loved Morris's goal from that free kick. The way he peeled away. Another lovely cross from Doughty, and it just took it on the half volley. But then the keeping them out, all the injury time and that, and then the celebrations at the end. I think that was special, and I said to Lenny, it was almost the first win.
Well, I go with that, but also the second visit there was great fun too.
Yeah, it was just
almost a replica.
Yeah, just say, see, we can do it to you twice, boys.
Yeah. It's a shame we didn't do it 3 times. I want to bring into that last minute equaliser at Crystal Palace.
I was just thinking about that.
Was you? Because for me, you've given up the ghost.
It was such an important one.
Yeah.
Awful time
game as well, wasn't it?
And that's when we thought Palace were on the down slope, Darren.
Honestly,
To be fair to Darren, he had a point at the time.
It's going to be on his tombstone.
I predicted it.
Yeah, although I can't see another point coming from Palace.
yeah, they're not out of it yet.
From table,
Nearly got Europe, didn't they? They're going to win us the Euros, Palace.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Goal of the season. We've asked you guys these questions, and I'll run through them real quick in a moment, but goal of the season. Let's pick our goals of the season. We'll go from right to left. So we'll start with Darren.
I've gone for Chong, Liverpool at home.
I
think
stunning goal.
Yeah, I think everything about it. Barkley bringing it out, the counter attack, even the commentary to it, and everything was just brilliant about it. The fact it was against Liverpool, and when you look how many games Liverpool lost in the end, and it took them till. What is
90 plus 7?
Yeah, it's not 97. Diaz to shoulder one into the top corner.
Yeah, and his first game back after his dad was taken, sort of thing. And you kind of knew it was blooming typical. It's going to happen that way. But I just think everything about that was a real big highlight for me. Again, like I was saying about the Arsenal, this is Liverpool at home. We've just gone 1-0 up on a counter attack.
Yeah.
From Ross Barkley.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's like, who do we think we are?
Yeah.
Batare, goal of the season.
See, it's a tough one. They're both sort of like replicas as well. So I'm probably going to go with Adebayo against Forest. Long ball, I think, from Lockyer, was it?
Could well have
I
been.
think it was Lockyer, and he's taking it down on his chest, I think, past 1 or 2 defenders. Anyway.
Yeah, just out-muscled them, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's just taking that amazing first touch on his chest, and then he sort of like hit it on a half volley with the outside of his boot past the keeper. And just for me,
it came at the right time as well, 2-2. And
was that the first or second one?
No,
that was the second one.
Ogbene got the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one was Ogbene. See, that's what I mean. I can't remember.
Yeah, the second one. But
it's all the beers, isn't it?
And just think how lucky we were that day, because they went down the other end and scored again. And it was ruled offside.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Steve.
That was wild, though.
It was a wild goal.
Can I say, sorry, as well, the second one I said about, it was Adebayo versus Everton a few weeks back, or about a month or so, wherever it was now.
Yeah, his first game back.
Yeah, that's similar sort of thing, on his chest, bang, finish.
And the fact that was Ashley Young, wasn't it? Get out of the way, move.
Absolute unit, mate.
Steve, if you had to pick a goal, go for it.
I'm afraid it's Chong as well. I love a counter-attacking goal. And I think that was as good as you can get on a counter-attacking goal. Darren's right. The commentary on it was great. right from inside our own penalty area. Barkley had no right to even get out of our penalty area. And then scampering up the pitch, beautifully timed pass out, step of the boot. And all the time Chong's going, I'm open, as he's going up the pitch. Beautiful pass from Kabore and in. Great commentary, and again,
and the noise. The noise of Kenilworth Road that day was immense, wasn't it?
With a counter-attacking goal, if you got a good crowd, each pass is gone, and it got louder and louder, and it was chaos. That was my special moment.
Wow, I want to watch it again now.
Go on, Dave. What's your special moment? Go on.
My special moment. Wow. We're talking about goals actually, but I actually liked Clark's goal against Manchester City.
Yeah.
It was top dollar.
Yeah.
But there is, I think every goal we scored I've enjoyed this season. It doesn't matter how fluky they were or how brilliant they were.
Or the two Sheffield United scored for
us. Both deflections were they?
I mean, if they'd have kept us up, they'd have been my two favourite goals of the season. Right, yeah. And you know what? I was watching that in Australia, wasn't I, on catch up, so I didn't know the results.
Right.
And I kept saying, we went 3-2 up, and I kept saying to my brother, please, can we just check with one now? I can't take this. We could just have a look. But I think every goal we scored, like I said, that Corley Woodrow at Palace, Carlton at Everton.
Yeah, I mean, the Man City one that you said for Clark, he couldn't have walked up there with the ball and placed it up there.
Amazing. Top
right. Be able to reach, that's why.
What I like is
yeah, that's right. That's right.
We scored a good range of different types of goals.
Darren, what about the 3 goals we saw at Bournemouth? They were in ecstasy.
Barkley's one, just before half time. It was a great goal. But
ecstasy.
I was going to say, we scored we're not a one-trick pony. We scored a lot of different types of goals.
Yeah.
We had a lot of different goal scorers as well. There weren't many that didn't score. Which is it sums us up again, doesn't it?
And the fact that our 2 strikers as well, 2 main strikers, got 10 plus goals in the Premier League that season as well, which is I think for us is a real bonus.
I know. I think it just shows defensively as a team.
Yeah.
If we could have been better.
And I did find my stat. I said last time we scored against every team, and I said not many in the Premier League would have done that. 8 teams, including us.
Oh, wow.
8, okay.
Only 8 scored against every team.
You're full of stats today,
Love it, mate.
Christ.
Right, so his new
I'll start
name
messaging you during the week when I need to know something.
Well, no, his new name is now going to be Stato.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about Morris, he's only the 7th player to score in 11 top-flight games for Luton. Only the 7th.
No, that's some achievement.
According to @Facts from Luton on X, he joins Gordon Turner, Brian Steed, Mick Hartford, Billy Bingham, Alan Brown, and Lars Elstrup.
That's some pretty good company.
That's some pretty good company.
Yeah.
Game of the season. I think we're all picking almost similar ones. I think you can't take away the performance against Brighton at home. You can't. You can't look at that in isolation and go, "Well, that was fantastic," and then ignore everybody else.
I mean, just the first 2 minutes against Brighton, and you're pinching yourself, and I really loved.
Was it Adebayo closing down? Was it or something? Am I right?
Ogbene.
Ogbene, was it?
Yeah, Ogbene's goal. Lokonga does that 45-degree pass, and he's made that. He's made that perfect run. And the way he goes round the keeper, and he just pushes it into the net. Just push it away, and then he sort of just runs away. I don't know. I just thought, absolutely immense.
But there's been so many that I could just pick out and go, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. So game of the season is a really hard one to pick. Do you have any thoughts, Darren? No, he says. Okay, we'll go.
What we've done this.
Game of the season.
Yeah, game of the season. Just tell me what you said before.
It's that dementia set.
Yeah, it's the dementia set.
I had Newcastle.
You're right, Newcastle away. Which is getting to me, weren't we? It's been a long year. It's been a long year.
It's been a long night for you, apparently.
Listen, we asked you guys your end of season focus here. Goal of the season, player of the season, game of the season, and a personal highlight. I'm just going to flick through a few of these. Dom says, Adebayo, equaliser against Burnley away, and the drama that unfolded.
Yeah, that was amusing, wasn't it?
I was in the pub that day. There's a theme going. And I genuinely thought it's going to get disallowed.
Yeah.
Why did they not? It was crazy.
You was in the pub that day with me, Dave. That's why.
I know.
There you go. See, he didn't remember that, did he?
Player. He says in Mengi coming in and doing a fab job. His game was Everton win, first one in 30 odd years, and his highlight, which we've not mentioned, and we should really, Lockyer pulling through, which is a brilliant thing to say.
Yeah.
Johnny, goal, Ross Barkley against Bournemouth. We've mentioned that. Player, Barkley. Game, Brighton. That's I meant to ask you all about your player of the season, didn't I? I didn't do that.
I will do it after.
Barkley, game, Brighton, and highlight togetherness from start to finish.
Yeah.
The last day just didn't feel like relegation.
I think that's bang on the money, the highlight, the absolute unwavering support from start to finish.
Yeah, Kenny Oak says Adebayo, the third versus Brighton.
Do you think that's his real name?
Is that?
Kenny Oak.
Kenny Oak?
Maybe.
No? Okay.
Player Morris, never stop trying. Game, Newcastle, and highlight being able to watch us play in top flight again, as I didn't think I'd see it in my lifetime. Zach says Chong versus Liverpool. Player, again, we haven't mentioned him this evening, Thomas Kaminski. Game, Everton away again, and the highlight managed to get to 16 to 19 away games in the league. 34 out of 38 games overall. Well done, Zach.
Yeah, well done.
Chris, Alfie versus Gillingham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, give it that. Player, Alfie or Kaminski. A game, Arsenal at home.
He's turned Spanish now.
At home. And his highlight was getting my daughter to a Premier League game. And finally, LTFC shirt says Clark versus City, Thomas Kaminski, 4-0 Brighton, and Tom Lockyer's pitch entrance, which was an amazing thing. And, you know, it's good to see him back, and it's good to see him with his child at the end of the game against Fulham. And we just hope he stays connected with the club in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, 100%.
It just shows you the amount that the club packed into that season, you know.
Crazy.
Emotions, skill, moments of individual brilliance. You know, Christ, we've done so much in that season, didn't they?
Yeah.
So player of the season, which I should have said earlier, not game of the season, Darren, I apologise. Player of the season for you?
I think we're probably all going to be roughly the same, but I think there's two outstanding ones was Kaminski and Barkley. But I think although Kaminski got the save of the season and he's out with Belgium, and well done to him, but it's difficult when we've conceded so many goals. So my player of the season would be Barkley, because he's just something completely different to anything I've seen in the flesh at Luton. And it looks like he's on his way, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
It's not a bad deal, really. We got him free for a season. They paid his wages, and we've gone out with a £3 million profit.
He might have got a little signing on fee maybe when he joined us.
Maybe, but we still come out there with some money.
Yeah,
which is cool. Bataro, you agree?
I mean, I got three. I couldn't make my decision. I've got Barkley, Kaminski and Doughty. I just can't pick out the three. I think all season they were fantastic. I mean, Doughty, I think, run himself into the ground towards the end. I think pretty much played near enough every minute, didn't he? But I just think, I agree with what Darren said, though. Barkley was just that spark, wasn't he, in midfield? Like, it was just, you look like, obviously, him and Lokonga, I don't think we're going to see a better partnership at Luton than them two for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but
going to miss him, right?
Yeah, of course. Oh, stop him! I'm like, we'll cry.
No, don't cry.
But no, I'm joking. But to be fair, I think we need to give Doughty a mention as well. I think we mention Barkley and Kaminski every week, but I think Alfie Doughty, I believe he got 9 assists this season and 1 goal, or 2 goals. No, 2 goals and 9 assists. So
that's why again he's in the frame for other clubs, isn't it? Because you know they can see that potential.
I still think Doughty should have been in with a shout for England as well.
If we could retain the likes of him, then there is every chance that we might bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what the team's going to look like starting next season, I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, it won't take long for us to hear things. When Rob gets back from his holiday, that's when everything starts, isn't it? Yeah. For yourself, Steve.
What was the question again, old boy?
No, don't start. Player of
the season. Ross Barkley is unique with what he was doing to some of the midfields. You know, it was outrageous. I do want to mention the amount of the players from the Championship and beyond that stepped up to an outrageous level. You know, Adebayo, Morris, you know, you can say Amari Bell was finding his feet really quite well. You know, so many of them, and that was absolutely sensational. But I say Ross Barkley was just doing stuff that I hadn't seen for such a long time.
We need to grasp this opportunity and go forward, get stronger and bounce back at some point, whether it's next season, the season after, or when the ground's finished. But surely the future's solely bright, isn't it?
You'd like to think so.
Well, it's down to us, isn't it? As a club, and by and large, we have done everything right in the last 10 years, or else you wouldn't have seen this progress. So if we can sort of keep a level head, I'm sure
we've got a bit of money as well.
It's a difficult time to navigate through, I would suggest, with what might happen to key players in the squad and stuff like that. You know, people are going to look at Luton differently again now, saying, "Oh, they're a championship." So I think it's difficult, but I think we'll find a way through it.
I think we were saying about the press and everything having a different view of us now, and actually bookies are very rarely wrong, and they have us third favourites to go straight back up.
Okay.
Obviously Leeds are the favourites.
Leeds are odds on again.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know where that comes from, because Leeds have got to sell a lot of players.
They're in trouble a little bit. Aren't
They've got to make 80 million before the end of this month.
They collapsed, didn't they?
Yeah. So whether there's something going on there, they've got to lose players.
Yeah.
Look, second favourites Burnley. I mean, have you?
I don't see that.
I
don't see the
this
Burnley
merry-go-round of managers where you can get a team relegated from the Premier League and then go to one of the biggest clubs in the world.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Is unreal. I mean, whoever company's agent is, you know, I hate agent fees, but that agent deserves a lot of money.
Company did one there, didn't he? Because Burnley should have sacked him.
Yeah.
If they sacked him, they had a good chance of staying up.
I mean, to be fair,
they should have sacked him.
I know what you're saying.
He had a bit of a run towards the end, but if they sacked him, and how's he repaid them? He's just buggered off.
Well, no, of course, I'm not disagreeing that, by the way. But what I will say is, I don't. First and foremost, I actually will say, as a human being, I think Company's brilliant. What a great guy, and whatever else. Was very respectful. He spoke well against us. As a manager, I don't see it. And the fact that Bayern Munich are taking him on, I think 7 managers rejected Bayern Munich. So there's obviously an issue there going on as well.
I mean,
Vincent Kompany?
Yeah, I mean, Burnley could have a big turnover. I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few of those players went there because of Vincent Kompany.
They got high wages.
You know, I mean, I don't know if there's any truth in it, but a few days ago or last weekend, they said one of the first players he was looking to sign was Lukonga.
Yes, I read that.
Yeah, you know, so it just shows how highly regarded, you know, a good, play well, Belgian, play well in the Premier League and that, so it makes sense. But Burnley might look very, very different, you know, and they've got to recruit a manager with the same ideals. Let's say they brought in another Sean Dyche type of person. All of those players are a complete waste of time. So they could be in trouble if they don't get it right.
They're looking at Lampard, aren't they?
I was about to say,
get him in there. We're going to have Rooney, and we're going to have Lampard. I mean, get Lampard in there.
So Robbie Edwards will no longer be the most handsome manager in the division. Then,
I want to say this point, Darren. Remember what you said about Palace?
No,
don't say the same now.
I guess
the season hasn't even started yet.
I guess the point I'm making is we're very stable. We're set. Like Patara says, we've got money. I'd love to see our club spend a bit of money. We need to replace Barkley. We need to replace Lukonga.
Yeah, we're not going to spend this 10 million on, is it Sheaf at Coventry?
No, I'm hearing maybe more as well.
It's not happening.
No,
because they want 15 for him, sorry.
Well, they can off someone else. There's no way we're doing that.
We'll do what we do. And our recruitment's excellent. It is excellent. And we will do what Luton do. But we've just got to stay stable, consistent.
No, of course.
And we've got a great chance because the clubs around us, and I think I said it on the last pod, I'd rather be in the Championship this season coming up than last year because on paper it looks a little bit weaker the season coming up.
I would like to see the Leicester manager's job filled quickly.
Very quickly, very quickly. Yeah. It's been one hell of a hoot, isn't it?
It's been brilliant.
I've had the best season I've had for a long time. Going to games, meeting new people, doing all that sort of stuff. Doing this with you guys.
Getting away from your missus on a Saturday. Sorry, that's rude.
You know, meeting new people, giving shout-outs to people. Steve, you've got a couple to do this evening.
I do, if I can. A big hello to Tom, who...
Alcatraz
Tom.
That's how we're going to call him now, Alcatraz Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I don't know if he's on Twitter or not. I mean, I did post it, but I was doing the tour of Alcatraz with my family. It was the day of my birthday. Just come out of the audio part where they're going through all the cells and tap on the shoulder. Oh, are you Steve? I went, yeah. He goes, oh, I'm Tom Living Flitwick. I've watched the pod. Jesus, you know, it's just outrageous, you know, that time. So Tom, I was absolutely thrilled that you stopped to say hello to us, because I still maintain that Dave is never going to beat that for hellos.
I'll see you next season, Steve.
And then back down to earth with a bump. When I got back from Los Angeles, I was at a local kebabery.
Kebabery?
Yeah, a kebabery.
What's a kebabery?
Just getting a salad kebab, obviously. And I bumped into Debbie and Andy, who watch the pod every week. They love it. They love the fact that we sort of just have a crack and just have a laugh and that. They're massive Luton fans, so hello to Debbie and Andy as well.
Kebabery.
Kebabery.
Hey, I might have got Palace wrong, but I've never said kebabery.
Have you not heard of a kebabery?
Enlighten us, come on,
He
Steve.
plays for
What's
some
kebabery?
foreign club, doesn't
Honestly,
he?
he's got
He's a
no.
centre-back somewhere else in
He's
the
got no class, has he?
Oh, good God. You can tell we're done. Fixture release day, June the 26th. Look out for that.
Is it?
Listen, we've had a hoot this season. We've enjoyed it. Thank you for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We will be back next season. We're going to take a short break. Enjoy the Euros. If you haven't already, renew your season ticket. And we'll see you very, 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 very soon. Take care.
Thank you,
Have a good
everyone.
one.
Thank you, everyone.